Our gardens are our sanctuaries, peaceful, private, plant-filled corners of this green and pleasant land.
But not everyone has caught the gardening bug. Some of the gardens you're about to see are shocking.
This is so bad.
So monstrous, they're crimes against nature itself.
Don't want to admit that something like this is your own, do you?
It's like a bomb site.
It is depressing. I hate coming out.
In a lifetime of gardening, I've never seen gardens so bad. But help is at hand. I've assembled a crack team to help rehabilitate some of the worst gardens in Britain. Garden designer Danny believes he can bring out the gardener in everyone.
Encouraging people to grow into gardeners is just as satisfying to me as seeing their gardens grow.
Can't believe that that's how easy it is.
For Penny, it's all about the power tools.
With these tools in my hand, I can cut down and clear out, or I can rescue and recycle.
Absolutely brilliant.
Everyone has what it takes to look after a garden. And we're on a mission to show you how easy it really is.
Nice one. Look, it's good.
It's time to turn Britain's filthiest gardens
Into fabulous gardens. Wow, look at this.
This means the world to us.
Absolutely unbelievable.
It's beautiful.
Just can't get over it. I don't think I've ever seen a garden so beautiful in all my life.
This is Filthy Garden SOS.
This time, a couple who struggle with ill health left their beautiful garden neglected.
It's a jungle in an unfriendly way.
It's so inaccessible, wheelchair user Darren has forgotten what his outside space looks like.
It's the first time I've been able to get into the back garden for 7 years.
And when we reclaim this garden, what's uncovered below is mind-blowing.
This is outrageous. There is a junkyard in the front garden.
So what do you think the garden's going to be like?
Well, I think it's a Sleeping Beauty type garden, isn't it? It's full of brambles, it's overgrown.
It's a nightmare.
Today, we're in Stockport in Greater Manchester to meet married couple Darren and Keith, who've completely lost control of their once gorgeous garden.
It is depressing. I hate coming out. It looks its best in the winter when we're covered in 6 inches of snow.
Darren suffers from a debilitating spinal illness, spending more and more time in his wheelchair.
Basically, my lower back is collapsing in on itself. It's disintegrating.
And 7 years ago, Keith spent 3 months in hospital with a mystery illness. During his long recuperation, the garden was neglected.
Up until comparatively recently, it was a nice garden. The deterioration started to set in when I fell ill.
This was Keith's parents' home. Before it was his, he spent 50 years tending this garden. And now he wants the garden back, but with the couple's own stamp.
I don't want it back as it was when my parents were here, because it's going to be our garden. And, you know, we have the things that we like in them.
The couple share a love of theatre.
We've both been involved in theatre and plays with the local drama groups.
And they want a garden that reflects their personalities.
I think we both would like something dramatic.
We're not conventional. We like things that are different.
Darren and Keith are determined to muck in with this much-needed makeover.
I've got this, I want to get stuck in, energy.
I can't do much, but I'll still dig in what I can.
So, looking for a messy garden.
I'm at the location already, and I'm shocked by what I've seen. That is the worst garden I've seen in my life.
There's Danny.
Keep going! This isn't the one. Seriously, this isn't the one. Keep going, keep driving. Keep driving. I thought I'd seen it all in all my years in gardening and garden design, but that out there, it was beyond my wildest imagination. Hello, Penny. Hello, Dermot. You don't really want to be seeing this garden, seriously. This will be an assault on your senses.
This is so bad.
I can't look anymore. I've seen enough.
Wow.
It's time to get up close and personal with this overgrown obscenity of a garden.
Cover your eyes.
Look at this.
This is a monstrosity of a garden.
I tell you what, we need protection in here. There's brambles everywhere. A garden is good for the soul, it's good for the mind, it's good for the body. That's not ticking any of those boxes.
It's a jungle in an unfriendly way. It's full of briars. They're going to meet us out front.
Okay.
So let's have a chat.
Alrighty.
Come on out and meet Darren and Keith.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, boys, this is the team. Danny
Hi.
and
And
Penny.
you're Keith.
I'm Keith.
And you're Darren.
I'm Darren, yeah.
Good to meet you.
Hi.
How does it get to the mess?
Basically because I fell very ill and I was hospitalised for 3 months.
About 3 months.
After that, there was a long recovery period.
And then all of a sudden it just goes to a point of no return.
The speed of it was just incredible.
And how does this make you feel?
Depressed.
This is awful.
This was your family home, wasn't it? You grew up here. Are there plants that your mother planted in the back?
Well, there's the camellia tree in the back. It was the last thing that she saw in the garden. And she could see it through the window.
Keith does get upset with the garden at times. It's got a lot of memories, and I think he gets very upset at the fact that it's got as bad as it has.
We've got a massive job on our hands to bring this ghastly garden back to its former glory. And I've called in a team of helpers to start the clear-up.
What we have to do first is slash our way in and make it safe.
We've got a matter of days to turn this garden around, so time is tight.
With this garden, the main issue is brambles. We certainly want to see at the back of them.
Keith was always a keen gardener until his illness. Now he's getting stuck in and he knows this is a life-changing opportunity.
I do feel this sense of hope, this sense of optimism. You're not on your own. It's like a reaching out. You feel you are no longer the only guy who can do it.
For health and safety reasons, Darren's staying indoors.
Quite frustrating, really, but I'm really looking forward to be able to get in there and help out when everything else is sorted out.
As we hack away, we begin to discover telltale signs of a garden that was once used and loved.
It's like the secret garden. I found a sundial.
Look at that.
That's cool.
Well, I think it could signify the new garden. It could be absolutely gorgeous.
We're making progress, but suddenly disaster strikes. We haven't got anywhere to put the rubbish, so we're forced to start piling everything up in the front garden. The skip has not arrived, and we have so much junk.
It's a mountain of it.
It's a setback, and the pile of rubbish quickly starts mounting up.
This is absolutely outrageous. There is a junkyard in the front garden.
It makes me feel ashamed, embarrassed. I should have kept on top of it.
It's absolutely astonishing what we've started to uncover. I need Darren and Keith to see what their garden has consumed over the years.
What I've counted is 31 pots, 7 pieces of pond, and then all this stuff. What do you think? How do you feel?
Amazed.
I can't believe how much there is.
I know I can't.
And some even bigger items have revealed themselves too.
We have almost made it into the greenhouse.
I haven't been here for years.
When was the last time you went through that door?
About 8 years ago.
Well, give me 10 minutes and I'll clear a pathway and you can go in again.
Keith. I think I found your patio.
Are you joking?
No.
That is the patio. It has to be. We laid it just before I went into hospital. By the time I was well enough to come out here, the brambles had already started to take over.
20 minutes later, and the patio is revealed.
I'm surprised how good it is.
Well, you might not have seen the last of this.
Keith, come on in.
Oh, wow.
So, the structure is still strong, so this can be retrieved.
Great. I've missed it. I really have missed it.
With the rear garden now largely cleared, it's time to discuss our design plans.
So the real joy of the garden now is being able to see what we're dealing with.
Well, we've got a blank canvas now.
Yeah, it's good. It's full of hope.
Darren and Keith want a garden that's dramatic, and we're going to give them just that. In a nod to the shared passion, we're going to bring a real sense of theatre to this outside space. We'll have the grandeur of a Romanesque lawn area, a covered stage-like pavilion to protect against the elements. We'll bring that forgotten patio back to life and relocate it to create a fabulous sunshine terrace. And we'll have full wheelchair access for Darren with connecting pathways and raised beds so he can start gardening once again. As the day draws to a close, there's some exciting news.
Guys, the van has arrived.
Hey!
Woo! A man with a van and a trailer has just arrived who can actually finally start getting rid of all the rubbish in the front garden. Keith wants to show his determination to make a change by being the first to jettison some junk.
Yes!
Keith, how good does this feel?
Absolutely brilliant.
1, 2, 3. There we go.
Coming up, as the garden clearance continues, we bring in some big toys to help solve a big problem.
The ground is bound together by roots. It's everywhere.
And Keith gets a lesson in proper pruning.
People tear into it. The secret is cut back and then step back.
Step back.
We're in Stockport, where Penny, Danny and I are helping Darren and Keith transform their overgrown jungle of a garden that's been covering up an absolute mountain of junk.
I thought I'd seen it all in all my years in gardening, but that out there is beyond my wildest imagination.
We're building a fun-filled theatrical garden with a pavilion and sun terrace, and bringing forgotten areas like the patio and greenhouse back to life. We've already shifted tons of debris, but this garden clear-out is far from finished. It's 8:30 in the morning and we hit the house early to continue with the clearance. But the problems here aren't just the ones we can see.
The ground is bound together by roots. Roots of brambles. It's everywhere.
We need some machinery muscle to get to the root of the problem, pardon the pun. But Keith's already chuffed by what we've managed to achieve.
I'm just amazed now everything's gone back as to how much space there actually is, because we haven't seen it like this really since we arrived.
Which was?
1968.
Well, more than half a century on, we've called in the cavalry in the shape of a mini digger and grabber truck to clear these roots and give us a completely blank canvas.
Those roots, better watch out.
There's something else that needs to watch out too. Right in the middle of the garden is an old cherry tree, and I think we need to get rid of it. I love trees, but this one has seen better days, and the only thing for it is my chainsaw. Let's get this bad boy down. Time to bring out the toys. You can tell I'm a Scot.
Penny is a force to be reckoned with, and certainly if she's got a chainsaw, you want to be behind her.
But this tree is not going down without a fight. Taking down that cherry tree was so difficult. That was solid wood, really, really hard wood, one of the hardest. But eventually...
I'm just amazed. I really am. That was tough.
But we got it down.
Yeah, it was time to go.
Yes.
The grabber and digger are making short work of those underground root systems.
It's great to see the big guns here, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is what you need in a garden to help you with clearance.
Yeah. And look how big the garden is now.
Looks enormous, doesn't it? But one thing that's not being cleared from the garden is this camellia bush, which has enormous emotional importance for Keith. So this is the famous camellia.
It is, yeah.
The camellia has huge sentimental attachment for Keith because it flowered just before his mum died.
It was the last flowering shrub my mother ever saw, and that year it bloomed particularly early. The camellia to her was the heralding of spring, and that was it. Yeah, 1 week later, that was it.
What we need to do is just tidy it up and bring it back to its former glory. I think it'd be a good idea to reduce the crown and at the same time lift it. Reducing the crown is the term given to the removal or thinning of branches and foliage to leave a healthier, more aesthetically pleasing tree or bush. Lifting is simply the removal of the lower branches, either to allow better access under the tree, to make space for planting, or just to improve the appearance. One of the common mistakes that people make when pruning is that they tear into it. Really, the secret is you need to cut back and then step back. After a bit of careful pruning, this camellia is standing proud once again. There you are, Keith. What do you think?
It's a lot better, isn't it? What makes it really special, and I'm not kidding you, today would have been my mum's 95th birthday.
Yeah.
So it's like her birthday present. She's got her tree back. That is perfect.
With the last remnants of their old garden being removed, it's time to share with Keith and Darren our plans for their new garden. And we have a surprise in store for former chef Darren, who loves the thought of being able to grow his own veg.
To be able to dig up what you want rather than having to rely on going somewhere for it, I think that's really good.
Darren, how do you feel? You can actually get into the back garden.
I can get in here, I know. Amazing, isn't it?
Ah!
It's the first time I've been able to get into the back garden for 7 years. Now it's all been cleared.
Yeah.
It's massive.
We have a plan. You're going to have this kind of Romanesque lawn. You're going to have a theatrical, quirky pavilion that you can sit in. You're going to have great pathways right the way through to make all of the garden accessible. You're going to have a sunburst terrace, and you're going to have raised bed and greenhouse.
Wow, astounded.
So without further ado, let's get cracking.
We can finally get our teeth into building this garden.
I'm bowled over by the garden design. It is a very inclusive design, and I think that's what I really like about it.
Absolutely fantastic. The way they've thought about it, so I can access every area of the garden, is just phenomenal.
And the raised beds we're creating means Darren can grow his own veg at last.
Planting it, watching it grow, picking it, prepping it, and then putting it onto a dinner plate. I think it's great.
This garden is so big, we're going to oversee different sections. I'm focusing on the greenhouse and surrounding area. So this was obviously a planter of some description. I want to give it a new lease of life. And this frame was obviously a table that's seen better days. And I want to put more life into it.
While Danny cracks on with the greenhouse, I want to take Keith and Darren for some inspiration. These theatre lovers want drama, and the Walkden Gardens in nearby Sale offers plenty of that. This perfect backdrop often hosts outdoor performances.
Just round the corner here, there's a beautiful feature.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
Isn't it? So unusual.
An archway made from pruning this oriental plant around over this metal structure. And it's the type of softness and romance that we want to plant in your garden, I think.
Brilliant.
A wonderful reaction to the wisteria from Darren and Keith, and it's given me an idea to plant some in their garden.
I can't believe the gardens. They're absolutely superb.
Coming out of the wisteria tunnel, we're into the Tree Cathedral.
I see.
It's beautiful. These, I think they're beech, planted in a circle. It's very dramatic, isn't it?
It is.
What it has in common with you and your new garden is a little sense of theatre.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're very, very much so.
Dermot, Darren and Keith might be enjoying themselves, but just 14 miles away, back in Stockport, the elements have suddenly turned against us. The heavens have opened. We can't use the digger. Everything's going to a halt.
You can't build on a quagmire. It's impossible.
But a bit of rain isn't going to stop this crack team.
What we're going to do is innovate.
We're going to replace the fence and use those old panels to protect that soil.
And that'll stop us making a soggy mess.
Meanwhile, in Sale, just a few miles down the road, but seemingly in another climate altogether, I've one more theatrical delight to inspire Darren and Keith. The aptly named Theatre Lawn, often used as an outdoor performance space.
All the world is a stage, and you are on for Henry V. and we're taking a front seat.
This day is called the Feast of Crispian.
This garden has a performance space designed within it, and we'll be giving Darren and Keith their own theatrical area with the pavilion we're constructing. Perfect for a couple who love their drama.
Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot.
Bravo! That was wonderful.
I can't believe you remember that.
50 years ago.
What's really been great is you brought this place to life because it needs people. And your garden at home has been without you for 7 years.
True.
And nature has taken over, but your garden is for people.
And Keith has some big plans for his own theatrical productions back home.
Oh, I think opera in the garden, don't you?
Back in Stockport, the rain has eased, and I've been able to completely clear that grotty greenhouse and remove all the panes of glass that were broken, which was most of them. So we've had them measured, and they're going to be put back, so this greenhouse is going to be nice and watertight. I'm rebuilding the bench using some decking boards which I salvaged from the garden. I've cut them into 2-foot lengths. I'm so pleased I've been able to make use of them. That makes me feel very satisfied.
As the end of the day approaches, Dermot, Keith and Darren return. Hello.
Hiya.
Hello.
Did you have fun?
Yes, we had fun, and the weather was great.
It was?
Lucky you.
How bad was it?
Oh, it was dreadful. It was like a monsoon.
It's not been a great start. However, tomorrow is another day, and tomorrow will be a better day.
Today's been very stop and start because of the elements, but we've soldiered on. And although there's a bit of a gooey mess at the back of the garden, we've still moved the project on, which is great to see.
Coming up, my grand plan for a humble material.
This is corrugated iron. If we can make this into a stage, I think it could be fun.
And Keith gets a lesson in the 4 Ps. Penny's perfect patio pointing.
You just get a trowel full of this, pop it in basically here.
I have learned so much DIY so far.
We're in Stockport, where Darren and Keith's gruesome outdoors
This is a monstrosity of a garden.
is ready to be turned into a stunning space once again.
Wow.
Oh, you guys look really happy.
Astounding.
But the elements have conspired against us.
You can't build on a quagmire. It's impossible.
It's early morning and the rain-lashed garden is a sorry sight. What we can do is limited, but Danny is able to tackle the greenhouse, whilst I want to bring something back to life. Darren and Keith's lost patio. First we clear the spot where I want to rebuild it with a digger. Then we cover it with hardcore and press that down with the whacker plate to create a solid base that won't sink. And Keith's helping to relay the patio stones. It's a bit drier over here than over there, thank goodness, because we want to get started laying the circular patio.
Yep.
I work out where the middle point is. Keith lays the central stone, commonly known as the keystone. You just want to pop that down and try and get it as central as possible. The rest of the stones follow outwards. First the mortar, then the paving stone, which is tapped down until level with the rest.
I have learned so much DIY so far.
Elsewhere in the garden, work has started on the skeleton structure of the sheltered pavilion, and a dramatic lawn area is being prepared.
I want to finish off the patio on my own and surprise Keith with how it looks when it's finished. So I've given him a job to do. And for the first time, Darren is able to help. They're painting 2 wooden chairs that were rescued from the old garden, which we'll find a place for in the new design.
Remember, when this is all done and we're sitting out there in the sunshine, for God's sake, don't wear white.
Keith, come and look. Last bit is going in.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Isn't that fantastic?
Do you like it?
Doesn't that look great? That looks fabulous. That is a perfect job.
The patio is looking amazing considering we unearthed it about 2 inches underneath the soil. So the last job that needs doing is pointing.
Yep.
Because it holds everything together.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to make a start?
Show me how.
First off, you'll just get a trowel full of this, pop it in basically here. Pointing is the term given to the mortar around bricks, or in this case, paving stones, that hold the structure in place, keeps it water resistant, and also has a decorative impact. Tomorrow, once that's dried and we brush it off, it'll look amazing.
The garden structure is really starting to take shape. Keith and Darren want something out of the ordinary, and this certainly fits the bill.
I'm using a material that's quite utilitarian, so this is corrugated iron. We use it to make sheds, to repair roofs, to do all sorts of things. But if we can make this into a stage, I think it could be fun.
This structure is a real decadent piece. It's going to scream drama. I think they'll love it.
We've less than 2 days left to complete this garden, and Darren's popped out to check on progress.
I'm gobsmacked. I think it's fantastic. I can see the Italian-style garden, which is sort of reminiscent of where we went the other day. So that's brilliant.
When Darren first saw the garden today, he was just knocked out. That blew his mind this morning.
But not everything is warmly received.
The air raid shelter.
Yeah. Yes.
So cheeky.
I wasn't saying that.
Pavilion.
Pavilion. Yeah, I'm trying to remember how we worded it, the pavilion.
The theatrical element of the garden. Mixed reactions this morning about the pavilion, but I think it'll be magical.
There's plenty still to do today, and I want Darren and Keith to help me with some potting. When we cleared this garden, we found more than 30 plant pots hidden in the undergrowth, and we're reusing them today to pot some pelargoniums, more commonly known as geraniums.
If you go one per pot, then it's got plenty of room to grow.
And we're using that compost there?
Yes, that's potting compost.
Right.
So that basically releases the nutrients slowly. I'll just leave you to it.
Right.
And I'll catch you later.
Crack on.
Pelargoniums are low-maintenance plants, though they do need a warm greenhouse in the winter, and potting or potting up is the act of moving a plant into a larger pot to help it grow.
It was great to see Darren and Keith getting stuck in with the seedlings this morning, because although it was a small task, every one of those tasks is important in the garden.
While Darren and Keith get potting, I'm back in the greenhouse area making a raised bed for Darren that will give him easy access to plants and vegetables from his wheelchair. The first step is to make a rectangular base, which I'll build up from.
I'm going to make 4 frames using 6x2 timber, put one on top of the other so they're at a suitable height for Darren to access in his wheelchair. These posts will hold the framework in place. That's nice and solid, and it's not going anywhere. I just need to get the other 3 frames, and then I've got myself a raised bed.
I'm helping to create the covered pavilion, and I know Dermot has something very specific in mind for the decorative feature.
You're getting on great, Penny. That looks superb. And the next stage is really exciting. Come here. We want to be dramatic about this structure. It's all about theatre. So we're going to make something that allows us to create the effect of hanging curtains, but using wrinkly tin, using corrugated.
Dermot does not do pavilions by half, but it'll be worth it. I'm so happy with them.
My raised beds are finished and ready for planting, and I've got a surprise in store for Keith with my choice of plants.
I put some marigolds in there, some nasturtiums and some violas, and they are really popping. Can I show you something?
Yes, go on.
Look at this. You have a go. Nasturtiums and marigolds and violas, they're regarded as ornamental plants, but not a lot of people realise that you can actually eat them. Why don't you give it a go? Tastes all right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Ideal for salads.
It was a really good, different taste.
I've done something that's not only good eye candy, but gives you something good to eat.
We don't want to eat all the plants, so it's time to get them planted.
It's always a good idea to place plants out before you put them in the ground. So you've got a raised bed with edible flowers. Doesn't it look fantastic?
It's fabulous, even now. The raised beds, I was amazed at. That's not what I was expecting at all.
It's my favourite time of the build. The plants have arrived.
This part of the day is really great because the garden greens up. We now put in specimen trees, we put in large shrubs, and then we dress that with all the little delights underneath. I can't wait.
Dermot is just like a kid in a sweetie shop when the plants arrive in the garden. He bounces around the garden. He's literally in his element. While Dermot and the team get cracking with the planting, I've been raking in preparation for the new turf. It's a really good idea to level the lawn. What we did here was we levelled out 2 strips of timber, and then we got our good level, and then we put very, very good quality topsoil in and used rakes basically, and just went back and forth and back and forth. Then your lawn goes on top, it'll just look perfect and it'll roll very nicely. When you roll out turf, one tip is to slightly overlap the edges, and then you simply cut down the line with a saw, leaving you with a lovely, precise and very snug fit.
And now that the garden is starting to take on its new form, it's time to give Keith his marching orders.
Dermot, the green stuff is going down really nicely,
I know. It's these few hours when everything really begins to change, and what was just soil, what used to be briars, is now turning into a garden. However, now is the time for you to disappear. I don't want you seeing too much of what we're about to do. We want to be ready for a transformation for this area, so the next time you come out and see it, we want to be able to present you with a garden.
You've been watching too much pantomime, the transformation scene.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Oh, yes, you have.
So, we see you and Darren in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Blinds down, curtains drawn, no peeking.
See you tomorrow.
See you guys. Thanks a lot.
Tomorrow.
Bye.
It's nearly the end of another day, but we've made amazing progress after being hit with all that rain.
We've got the garden where we want it to be, against all the odds, I must add, because there's no way I thought that was going to happen.
Coming up, far from conventional finishing touches.
Love it. I think it's mad. I think it's amazing.
And our garden transformation is revealed.
Keith and Darren, come round and see your new garden.
That is incredible.
We're in Stockport, helping theatre-loving couple Darren and Keith turn their garden from a Greek tragedy...
How does this make you feel?
This is awful.
...into a Broadway musical.
Isn't that fantastic? Doesn't that look great? That looks fabulous.
It's the final day of the build, and there's a lot to do.
But the sun is shining, and when the sun shines, you feel you can achieve anything.
We can definitely see the finishing post now.
We just all need one big final effort and turn this filthy garden into the most fabulous, gorgeous garden. I've had an upcycling idea for this log. This came from the cherry tree I chopped down from the middle of the garden. I've decided I'm going to make a gorgeous bird feeder. First, I cut the section that's roughly 5 centimetres thick. Then I use my angle grinder to create a nice bowl shape. I'm going to sand it all down and I'm going to hang it from Keith's beloved camellia. It'll look beautiful.
I've just rescued a tub of plastic flowers from the skip. Now, I'm not usually a fan of fake plants, but I've suddenly had an idea for where we can put them.
Penny, can we have you for a sec? Now that it's going to be a gorgeous garden, I might have it as the final crowning glory of the plot. Up, 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 up! That's perfect, Penny.
Up.
The crowning glory of the garden.
Crowning glory.
And the thing is, it's always in flower.
Yeah.
In flower all year round. So, like the campness and the quirkiness of it.
Love it. I think it's mad. I think it's amazing.
Meanwhile, in the greenhouse area, I found the perfect spot for this grapevine.
This wall acts as a storage heater, so it absorbs the heat during the day and emits it during the night.
Choose a south-facing wall that will give the plants several hours of sun each day, and it can add a bit of charm to an otherwise bland exterior wall.
Because it is quite tender, it will be as happy as Larry and thrive.
In the greenhouse, I've got some other plants that are really going to spice up Darren Keith's life.
I've got some chilies in here, and they've got lots of flowers on them, and they're going to provide loads of chilies. And here, I've got some cut and come again lettuce, which I'm going to plant out amongst these tomatoes. I think this is going to be a great space for them to come and get their fingers in the soil and fall in love with gardening once again.
At the front of the house, there is a frenzy of activity. We're putting in a new lawn on both sides of the driveway. As with the main lawn, preparation is key. First the area is cleared, and then raked, and then the new turf is rolled out.
Meanwhile, I'm in the new flower beds, ploughing on with the planting.
I've already put in the star plant, which is a pine, and that in time is going to shoot up and become the dominant plant in the garden. At the base of the pine, I'm going for hamamelis, and in time, just in a couple of years, it'll take up this whole corner.
Giving Darren full access to this garden is our driving motivation for this project, and we're creating stunning new pathways all around.
So I'm just finishing off the golden amber gravel, which is self-binding gravel, which is absolutely great because Darren can come out in his wheelchair and travel around the area without any issues at all.
Made out of crushed natural limestone, this gravel is used in several palace gardens and National Trust estates, a perfect alternative to a traditional pathway.
It is porous, so it allows any water to permeate through.
I have one more very important plant for the garden.
When I brought the boys to Walkden Gardens the other day, one of the features that we saw was this amazing wisteria arch, which was in full flower. So to commemorate that visit, I have a white flowering wisteria, and I'm going to plant that up against the pavilion. And for me, I think the boys should lead it right the way over the roof of the pavilion to add to the drama of this theatre.
After a frantic final push, at last this garden transformation is nearing completion.
The garden is looking amazing.
It's wild to think that just a few days ago you couldn't find your way through that garden. It was a jungle.
I'm really pleased with the design, and I know they're going to like it.
At the start, Keith and Darren's garden was a wilderness of briars and piles of junk. Most of the garden was inaccessible, and some parts hadn't been seen for years. Now the garden has been completely reborn. Where once there were briars, there's now a beautiful lawn, surrounded by flamboyant planting of shrubs, perennials, and evergreen boxballs.
The sun patio has been restored and positioned by the much-loved camellia bush. The greenhouse area is completely unrecognisable, with raised beds and a sea of colour. And standing in pride of place is the new theatrical pavilion.
And most importantly, all the areas of the garden are now linked together with wheelchair-friendly pathways, making it a completely accessible space for Darren.
Keith and Darren, come round and see your new garden. Oh my God, I don't believe it. That is incredible.
When I first came round the corner, I couldn't believe how much they'd got into the garden. I think it's phenomenal. I can get round everywhere.
Oh, look at that.
I know.
That is totally bonkers. Does look bonkers.
I can't believe it.
Genius. There was a very funny reaction to the folly or the theatre.
I know he says it's bonkers. I think it's brilliant. I think it works so well.
Go on and explore.
After you. Okay.
Darren has been denied access to his garden for the past 7 years. But now, once again, he can move around freely.
The main thing that we wanted to achieve in the garden was access for Darren. We've widened paths. It is completely wheelchair accessible.
Those are azaleas, and you have calicarpa.
Isn't that beautiful? I know. Oh, salvia, look, the blue one. I love blue salvia.
Keith and Darren dreamed of a garden to relax in, a place to think, to contemplate, and the restored patio, which just a few days ago was buried under inches of soil, is now a place of tranquility for them both. And the sundial that we found hidden in the undergrowth,
I think it could signify the new garden.
makes a stunning feature.
The sun dials in.
I've never seen it from this angle before.
You've never been up this far, have you?
No.
It was really touching to see Keith and Darren sitting down on the sunburst patio. Seeing that makes it all worthwhile. How does it make you guys feel?
Amazing. I didn't think I'd ever be able to get into the garden like this. It's brilliant.
You've not just brought a garden back to life, you've brought me back to life. I can't thank you enough.
They got so emotional. That's what gardening is all about, bringing something back to life, giving it love. Look to your left and down, and what do you see?
A bird feeder?
It's not any old bird
That's
feeder.
been made out of the cherry tree, hasn't it?
Yes, it's the old cherry tree.
Keith and Darren just can't stop exploring their new garden.
Just hearing that laughter, those giggles.
Gardens do breathe life into people, and it's so fantastic to see.
The greenhouse that was forgotten and forlorn
When was the last time you went through that door?
About 8 years ago.
is now fully restored, and the new raised beds are a game changer for Darren.
I love the fact I can get at this. I can get in and help. It'd be brilliant. It's reignited my passion for planting and helping out in the gardens because I've not been able to do that since I ended up in the wheelchair, so just fantastic.
Darren, you look so happy.
I am. I think it's brilliant.
Like, I actually have never noticed you had dimples before. That's so nice. We got there in the end. The whole place looks incredible, and I think everyone is just so chuffed.
I think if we'd just produced a garden that was aesthetically pleasing, it wouldn't have been enough. But now it's not only a space they can relax in, it's also an area where they can rekindle their love for gardening.
It's time to hand your garden back to you. Right. And you have to promise. You guys have to promise you're going to look after this because
definitely.
We will come back when you least expect it.
I should hope so.
So be on your toes.
Well, we want you to have a huge amount of happiness in this space. We want you to enjoy your garden. To create a garden for somebody who's had restricted access, to see them come around the corner and travel into the different areas, and to see something change in their face. It was a privilege to be here.
And what better way to finish than with a verse from Keith?
The gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, all which inherit shall dissolve. And like this insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a wreck behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little lives are rounded with a sleep. Roll credits.
And since we handed over their garden, Keith and Darren have been outside at every opportunity. And Keith says their physical and mental health has improved dramatically as a result. Nice haircut, chaps. For more information about this programme, go to channel5.com/filthygardensos.
Brand new Filthy House SOS continues next Sunday at 7 and on Tuesday at 7. If you're looking for home makeover inspiration, we've got just the man in a new series of dream kitchens and bathrooms with Mark Miller. Next tonight, hairdresser Dennis takes a risk and shuts the salon for a day to drum up some business and enjoys a little bit of bubbly along the way in new bargain-loving Brits in the Sun.